So next, we have an interview with Andre Daniels from Guitars Over Guns, a non-profit organisation operating in numerous cities across the US. They work to empower disenfranchised and vulnerable youth through mentorship and music. Since their launch in 2008, the organisation has helped over 8,000 students using their data-driven curriculum to raise self-esteem, academic attainment, and improve mental health. Andre is the founder of Haven Studios and the regional director of Guitars Over Guns, Chicago. We will also be hearing some wonderful music played by Liana Lawson from Guitars Over Guns. So please welcome Andre Daniels. Hi, Andre. Hi. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing pretty good. All things considered, it's been a good day so far. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. We've been live for about an hour or so now, so it's going very well. But it's an absolute pleasure to have you, joining us. Seriously, the work that you do at Guitars Over Guns is absolutely inspirational. So the first thing that I'd like to ask you is, could you tell us about your own personal journey and how that led you to working with Guitars Over Guns?
Yeah, so originally I started out as a rapper, and I always loved what music did. I've loved the power of words, and I was on this journey as a MC thinking I was going to be the best rapper in the world. And then I got signed and I didn't like it. And I was like, you know what I do enjoy was going to speak at different schools. I enjoyed being in the community. And so I was like, well, let me just spend more time doing that. And it just so happened that around this time, I started getting these phone calls from the CEO, Chad Bernstein, and he called me at like 7 in the morning. I was like, "Hey, I heard you rap and you teach. Would you want to come join us?" And I was like, "Sure, yeah, why not?" And then he was like, "Yeah, so are you free today?" And I was like, "Okay, I guess I guess I'll start today." And so I literally went from thinking about it and wanting to do more work to then immediately being thrust into this space where I met the first group of kids where we worked with in Chicago, and they were amazing. Like their minds were just brilliant. They were amazing kids who were talented, who were in this very unfortunate situation at a school that was more like it felt like almost like they had the inner workings of a prison. It was like, there's a metal detector. They had security guards who were, wrestling the young kids. And when we got in there and started to mentor, you'd see this dramatic change within behavior. And I got addicted to that feeling of just being able to be a vessel in some way. And I would see the change within the students. I would see them go from, kind of like being antisocial in different ways or, reacting in a more angry fashion to them being calm, talking about the things that they're going through, expressive. And it was just a brilliant feeling. And so, as somebody who's went through stuff like that when I was younger, when being in my neighborhood and seeing how my friends didn't have opportunities and what music did for me to change my whole perspective, it felt like a full circle way of giving right back to spaces that we often find ourselves in.
Thank you. I mean, there is so much violence happening in our communities, homes, schools, and places of work. Could you tell us about how serious the situation is and, why do you think it's happening?
Um, the situation, especially in some of our cities and what our students are going through, our youth rather, um, there's a different level of hopelessness that's there for certain people. Um, I know when I was younger, my outlook on life expectancy was maybe I'll be lucky if I get to be in my 20s. And that was already kind of jarring once I got older to think that that was a reality for me. And then when I look at now, with I talk to the kids, um, some of them don't expect to get out of high school. And that's it's a different reality than what some of us have experienced growing up. Like the idea that your life expectancy could stop at a certain point. Like you may not see you getting yourself your first apartment or going to college or getting married because just what your neighborhood might be or the amount of violence that's around you. Unfortunately, I've had to bury 5, 6 of my students. And over the course of the year, it doesn't get any easier. Like you don't get numb to it. You don't get to this space where you just like okay with this idea of them leaving this world before it's their time. And so for me, even though it can be very like it's definitely a space that is tough for me to digest, but it makes the work that much more important because you know that you have to do more. Like there's somebody who's waiting for a you to exist, and so my goal is somehow, some way to be a antithesis to what's going on, and we have to be on the opposite side so that somebody is doing something.
I mean, thank you so much for doing that. This is the International Day of Peacekeepers, UN Peacekeepers. But you are a peacekeeper. And Guitars Over Guns are for sure peace builders. So, thank you for what you do. I mean, it's very moving and very sad, actually, to hear that, you've lost 6 of your students. I mean, that's very sad, Andre. And thank goodness you're out there, man, doing what you're doing. The next question I'd like to ask you is, could you talk about, about the work, the specific work, that Guitars Over Guns is doing in communities in order to build that peace we were speaking about?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Guitars Over Guns is a music mentoring program where we hire musicians to be the music teachers, the mentors, the teaching artists, and not just musicians. Now we have photographers, we have artists, and pretty much any creative medium that our students have a desire for. And we go into middle schools, high schools, community spaces, pretty much anywhere that will allow us to exist. And we spend days working and with these students for the course of the year. And so we build this relationship through trust, through SEL practices, which is social emotional learning, and we give them different activities to do. We create a community space within their safe spaces. We also have yearly activities such as a music video where we have students come from all different areas, different parts of the city and different schools to create a song together first. And then on top of that, they create a music video together and have different activities to celebrate each other. So, but then they have performances, different activities that pour into who they are. And we want them to have this feeling of being heard, being seen, and understood, to know that there's a space of empathy for them. And we also have mental wellness components as well. Like we have a program called Empower that is designed for helping them to understand their emotions and how it plays a role into everything that's around them. And through this work, we watched them be transformed. We watched them elevate. We watched them change and grow. There's students now who have been in the program for so long that they went on to go into college, have jobs. Some of them also become mentors, and they work with the organization. And so we're watching this community change from just presence, like people being present and being helpful and allowing us to exist in these spaces and to grow these relationships with these students who sometimes they may not come in contact with a loving adult in their lives, somebody who supports them and somebody who wants to see them grow and be healthy. So grateful that we are in these spaces and able to do that.
Amazing. Incredible. What have you seen that has inspired you, right, to believe that Guitars Over Guns, to believe that peace building, peacekeeping, and peace of mind are impossible? What's inspired you? What have you seen that keeps you going every day?
Yeah. The things that keep me going, honestly, are when you see a young person's entire journey, when you first meet them and you see like this, who they are when you meet them at that space, but then you go years down the road and the memories what they tell you about what was transformative to them, things that stood out to them, things that made them choose the right decision over something that could have, ruined their lives. When you start hearing those stories and seeing the full scope of it, it's phenomenal. I always tell this story about what is a strong example I feel of like peacekeeping is in our studio, we had kids from different gangs working together. And at first they didn't even know that they were in like different gangs until somebody said it on the song. And then they would have a conversation and pull me over to the side and say, "Hey, I feel a ways that some so and so is he's not from the same gang that I'm from. I didn't even know he was this." And I would say, "Well, did that change your relationship at first? Like you were working with them up until then?" And they were like, "Yeah, they're still cool." And so they would work together, and now they're like best friends. And so to have moments where these students who normally would be fighting with each other, to have a space where they're keeping peace with each other, to know that that these other people are individuals and not putting harm to each other, um, I think that's a strong example of why we do the work that we do, is that we can stand in the way and be the safety net and hopefully keep somebody um, present, like somebody to be here instead of the ripple effect when people are torn away from these communities.
Amazing. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So listen, to people out there at home, how can we support Guitars Over Guns? What do you need? Do we follow on social media? Do we donate? Can we sign something? I mean, how can we help?
Yeah, so absolutely, we always love support in any which way that a lot of people feel that they can. I know sometimes we want to feel like, all right, well, what's the next thing? And we have a great initiative. It's a constant initiative. Like support is free. Like please, like if whatever way that you feel driven to give, please give. We of course we accept donations to keep the work going. Of course, you can follow us at guitarsoverguns.org. Like on social media, it's Guitars Over Guns. And I think just pretty much just like send us good words, good energy. And if anything, I want to say just like your way that you can support, however you feel in your heart, when you feel driven to direct it towards us, we're more than welcome for it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's interesting. I sometimes kind of wish I could make sure that everyone realizes that the power of their mobile phone and their social media to you and I, to Peace One Day or to Guitars Over Guns or to the United Nations, it's, for somebody to follow you and to like the posts. And the more people do that, the more power to your elbow, right? The more you can go to the sponsors who are looking after you, Andre, and say, look at the amount of people following, look at the amount of people engaging, look at the amount of people who are liking. I mean, so please don't be at home thinking that, okay, you're on the couch or you're sitting down and that just going to Andre's, Insta now or Guitars Over Guns, that makes a real impact, right, Andre?
Absolutely. This like you never know what's that post that you retweet that somebody else sees that inspires them. You never know that thing that you say like, "Hey, everybody, I check this out and I love what they do." And then from your perspective and that personal touch, like that's the gold for us. Like people like they need it. Like of course, it coming from us, it's going to sound a certain way. But if it's something that you believe in, the people who are in your circle is going to believe it too. So we need support in those different ways. Of course, definitely come check it out. See the students; they are amazing. They're brilliant. But if there's anything that you feel passionate about, talk about it, scream about it, yell about it. Make sure that people can hear it, see it, because when you do it, it makes a ripple effect to your circle.
I love it. That's the gold, as you said. I love it. He's absolutely
Yeah.
right. It's the currency now. We're living in this world, right, where the power of the mobile phone. So please use it. Please go to Guitars Over Guns now and check out Andre. I wish we could listen to it. I wish we had time for some of your rap music, mate. But maybe next time we've got to do something together. But listen, we have 1 minute 40 seconds. I have to ask you. If you could say one thing to inspire a young person on their journey, you meet somebody, they need that inspiration. They need that bit of inspiration from you. What would you say?
The thing I would tell them is I would always tell them that give yourself space to see the entire journey because at the beginning it's a little wonky, right? Like when you first start out as a young person, you don't have it all figured out and you want it to get right really soon. But there's an entire journey that happens. And sometimes it's not going to happen the way you want it to. Sometimes it doesn't happen in the way that you see it happening. But if you give yourself time, like let's say you don't win that competition, it's not the end of the world. It's okay. Don't worry, there'll be more. Like there's nothing that's going to be make or break. Like even if you get this, you get into school and then it doesn't work out in the way that you want it to, or you're not getting the grades that you want to, give yourself time to get it right and be patient with yourself. And I think you'll be happier in the long run with your journey as opposed to just that one moment that you have as a photograph moment. It's like, no, it's an entire movie that you have. So be patient with yourself, be patient with your journey, give yourself grace. It's okay. It's going to be just fine. But just yeah, just know that you're in it for a marathon.
Excellent. Andre, thank you so much, man. It's been amazing talking to you. We must do something for Peace Day 21st of September together. But thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you.